several months ago, and this is a book of the collected verse of Edward Guest, who was obviously a very prolific poet. Look at the size of the book. And it's available for purchase here for a mere $28, and it was published in, it's the 5th edition, published in 1940. The original edition came out in 1934. So I'm going to read a couple of poems out of here, 2 or 3 poems. Since we only have 3 people here, I'll read until I get tired, unless somebody else shows up. Again, these are cold readings. I've not read any of this stuff before. And most of these are pretty short, so I'll read a few of them. This is called Life, L-I-F-E, Life. Life is a gift to be used every day, not to be smothered and hidden away. It isn't a thing to be stored in the chest, where you gather your keepsakes and treasure your best. It isn't a joy to be sipped now and then and promptly put back in a dark place again. Life is a gift that the humblest may boast of, and one that the humblest may well make the most of. Get out and live it each hour of the day, wear it and use it as much as you may. Don't keep it in niches and corners and grooves. You'll find that in service its beauty improves.
That's good.
This is called The Dull Road. It's a dull road that leads to the gay road, the practice that leads to success, the work road that leads to the play road. It is trouble that breeds happiness. It's the hard work and merciless grinding that purchases glory and fame. It's repeatedly doing nor minding the drudgery drear of the game. It's the passing of glamour or pleasure for the sake of the skill we may gain, and in giving up comfort or leisure for the joy that we hope to attain. It's the hard road of trying and learning, of toiling uncheered and alone, that wins us the prizes worth earning and leads us to goals we would own. Courage. Picture a lion. Courage isn't a brilliant dash, a daring deed in a moment's flash. It isn't an instantaneous thing, born of despair with a sudden spring. It isn't a creature of flickered hope, or the final tug of a slipping rope, but it's something deep in the soul of man that is working always to serve some plan. Courage isn't the last resort in the work of life or the game of sport. It isn't a thing that a man may call at some future time when he's apt to fall. If he hasn't it now, he will have it not, when the strain is great and the pace is hot. For who would strive for a distant goal must always have courage within his soul. Courage isn't a dazzling light that flashes and passes away from sight. It's a slow, unwavering, ingrained trait with the patience to work and the strength to wait. It's part of a man when his skies are blue. It's part of him when he has work to do. The brave man never is freed of it. He has it when there is no need of it. Courage was never designed for show. It isn't a thing that can come and go. It's written in victory and defeat, and every trial a man may meet. It's part of his hours, his days, and his years, back of his smiles and behind his tears. Courage is more than a daring deed. It's the breath of life and a strong man's creed. It's good stuff, folks. This is good stuff. This is called the gentle gardener, as in, you know, planting things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a very gentle gardener. A very impatient one.
Don't got a green thumb?
Yeah, it's very green. Brown, more like. I had a green thumb when I lived in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
In a high-rise.
Yeah.
Where you,
I hear there's a tree that grows in Brooklyn.
at least one. I didn't plant that tree. Some think that I planted that tree. I did not. All right, this is The Gentle Gardener by Edgar A. Guest. I'd like to leave but daffodils to mark my little way, to leave but tulips red and white behind me as I stray. I'd like to pass away from earth and feel I'd left behind but roses and forget-me-nots for all those come to find. I'd like to sow the barren spots with all the flowers of earth, to leave a path where those who come should find but gentle mirth. And when at last I'm called upon to join the heavenly throng, I'd like to feel along my way I'd left no sign of wrong. And yet the cares are many, and the hours of toil are few. There is not time enough on earth for all I'd like to do. But having lived and having toiled, I'd like the world to find some little touch of beauty that my soul had left behind. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is called Ma and Her Checkbook.
Like the
Ma has a dandy little book that's full of narrow slips. And when she wants to pay a bill, a page from it she rips. She just writes in the dollars and the cents and signs her name. And that's as good as money, though it doesn't look the same. When she wants another bonnet or some feathers for her neck, she promptly goes and gets them, and she writes another check. I don't just understand it, but I know she sputters when Pa says to her at supper, well, you're overdrawn again. Ma's not a businesswoman. She is much too kind of heart to squabble over pennies or to play a selfish part. And when someone asks for money, she's not one to stop and think of a little piece of paper and the cost of pen and ink. She just tells him very sweetly that he'll only wait a bit and be seated in the parlor. She will write a check for it. She can write one out for 20 just as easily as 10 and forgets that Pa will grumble, well, you've overdrawn again. Pa says it looks as though he'll have to start in working nights to gather in the money for the check that Mother writes. He says that every morning when he's summoned to the phone, he's afraid the bank is calling to make Mother's shortage known. He tells his friends if ever anything our fortune wrecks, they can trace it to the moment Mother started writing checks. He got so that he trembles when he sees her fountain pen, and he mutters, do be careful, you'll be overdrawn again.
You know, that reference to a fountain pen is another
Right.
sign of the times.
Sign of
you
the
know.
times. In fact, I just got some fountain pens in that I have to price and put out.
You have some for sale?
Yeah, Mount Blanc fountain pens and Waterman.
Are they new or old
No,
ones?
they're used ones. They're used ones. Here's another one with Pa in it. This is called When Pa Counts. Pa's not so very big or brave. He can't lift weights like Uncle Jim. His hands are soft like little girls. Most anyone could wallop him. Ma weighs a whole lot more than Pa. When they go swimming, she could stay out in the river all day long, but Pa gets frozen right away. But when the thunder starts to roll and lightning spits, Ma says, "Oh dear, I'm sure we'll all of us be killed. I only wish your Pa was here." Pa's cheeks are thin and kind of pale. He couldn't rough it worth a cent. He couldn't stand the hike we had the day the Boy Scouts camping went. He has to hire a man to dig the garden 'cause his back gets lame. And he'd be crippled for a week if he should play a baseball game. But when the thunderstorm comes up, Ma sits and shivers in the gloam. Every time the thunder rolls, she says, "I wish your Pa was home." I don't know just what Pa could do if he were home. He seems so frail. But every time the skies grow black, I notice Ma gets rather pale. And when she's called us children in and locked the windows and the doors, she jumps at every lightning flash that trembles when the thunder roars. And when the baby starts to cry, she wrings her hands and says, "Oh dear, it's terrible, it's terrible. I only wish your Pa was here." Okay. A couple more and then I'll pass
All right.
I'll pass the lectern. This is the things that make a soldier great. The things that make a soldier great and send him out to die, to face the flaming cannon's mouth, nor ever questions why, are lilacs by a little porch, the row of tulips red, the peonies and pansies too, the old petunia bed, the grass plot where his children play, the roses on the wall. 'Tis these that make a soldier great. He's fighting for them all. 'Tis not the pomp and pride of kings that make a soldier brave. 'Tis not allegiance to the flag that over him may wave. For soldiers never fight so well on land or on the foam as when behind the cause they see the little place called home. In danger but that humble street whereon his children run, you make a soldier of the man who never bore a gun. What is it through the battle smoke the valiant soldier sees? The little garden far away, the budding apple trees, the little patch of ground back there, the children at their play, perhaps a tiny mound behind the simple church of gray. The golden thread of courage isn't linked to Castle Dome, but to the spot, where'er it be, the humble spot called home. And when the lilacs bud again and all is lovely there, and homesick soldiers far away know spring is in the air, the tulips come to bloom again, the grass once more is green, and every man can see the spot where all his joys have been. He sees his children smile at him, he hears the bugle call, and only death can stop him now. He's fighting for them all. Edgar Guest.
Yes.
Wonderful poet.
Known as the common man's poet in his day.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
and for good reason. For good reason. You don't have to think into anything. The words are there and they're very, very descriptive. Mm-hmm. You may come up and do your thing.
All right. Awesome. All right. Go ahead. All right.
Play with my snake.
I got 3 short ones, if that's cool.
That's cool.
Okay. Just wrote 4 last night.
Oh, well, that's good.
This is a rarity. But, all right, this one's called Survivor of ...
Dot, dot, dot.
Mm-hmm. Survivor of being a reckless driver, being and feeling worth less than a fiver, being deprived and deprive of attention and love, being and listening to a backseat driver, being, watching, listening, the dancing, playing and singing, driver, being told to never say never, when taking a leak having a piver, being, seeking and listening to someone's striver, neither being skived up by a skiver, neither having to fight any ivers, not having to attend catechism at either, unfortunately neither being able to visit Viver, listening to music, dancing, meditating, which helps me cyber down having to work a daytime job in order to fulfill being a scriver, neither being a diver, neither being a cab driver, neither being a bus driver, neither being a slave driver, neither being a tank driver, neither being a truck driver. All in all, lots of things I have survived and plan to thrive through lots more. That's the end piece on that one. It's a little wordplay. Thank you.
Yes.
I tried to rhyme. I tried to have all A's, but I mixed up some of the A's on purpose. So tried to rhyme with survivor. So, all right, this one's brand new as well. It's called Emotions Always, ... It's one of my new things. I'm doing the dots.
The dots. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Emotions always arising into elation. Emotions always a falling into distraught. Emotions always arising anew into ecstasy. Emotions always a fluctuating between a falling in the depths of manic depression and arising into substantial inner peace at any given moment. Emotions a following no set continuous flow. Emotions always a changing from one to another without ever asking us if we want them to change or not. Emotions always uncontrollable and incomprehensible. Emotions always breaking and making strangers wanting to know why you act the way you do. Emotions always making others wanting to be like you. Emotions always making others think that you are someone or something that you are not. Emotions always wanting and awaiting to receive their ways and their demands. Emotions always making us a crying, a singing, a wailing, a giving praise unto, a being roused, a being exciting, a being depressed, a being suicidal, a feeling loved and a feeling worshipped by another, a loving and a worshipping of another, a being impulsive, a being spontaneous, a being straight-laced, and a everything else in between. Don't fret about how our emotions control us. Don't fret about trying to always seek one emotion over another, because they are all fleeting with each moment, each second, each minute, each hour, each day, each month, and each year. We must learn to endure each and every one of our emotions as they come and go, whenever they want to come, appear, overtake, overrule, and choose for us. That's the end piece on that one.
Good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Alright, this one is called Someone Asked Me If I Were ... This is actually personal. It actually happened, so you'll see what I'm talking about when I... Someone asked me if I were a Christian pastor. Someone asked me if I were a Christian preacher. Someone asked me if I were a rabbi. Someone asked me if I was an imam. In response, I told them I am neither a Christian pastor nor a preacher, either a rabbi nor an imam. I told them that I was a Taoist and an atheist, and they blew up by deleting me on Facebook shortly after adding me and seeing my profile picture, and taking it as some kind of religious leader preaching my propaganda to a congregation of elites and common men and women, all because my profile has me reading at a pulpit at an open mic night at a local emporium close to where I live. If only they had read my description on my profile, then there would have never been any confusion. Some people are just too silly and dumb for their own good. Truly, they judge the picture by what they thought. Oh, hang on. It was instead of actually looking up its meaning. Oh well, they definitely brightened my day and were my comical relief to me. That's the end of that one. I got one more, if that's cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's really short too. So, all right. This one's called I'm not your ... No. I'm on this dot phase right now. All right. I'm not your puppet. I'm not your slave. I'm not your mold. I'm not your stepping stone. I'm not your fantastical creature. I'm not your savior. I'm not your guru. I'm not your leader. I'm not your lover. I'm not your hater. I'm not your ally. I'm not your enemy. I'm not your friend. I'm not your leech. I'm not your tick. I'm not your host. I'm not your servant. I'm not your old hag. I'm not your old nag. I'm not your old bag. I'm not your hair snagged in a snare. I'm not your back burner. I'm not your backseat driver. I'm not anything or everything that I do not choose to be. Instead, I live for me and a select few others. If I do anything or everything for you, please note that I truly do love you and bend myself for you all. That's in peace.
Excellent.
Thank you. That's it.
I guess so. Forgive me if I shake or make you look strange.
Want me to?
A few still shots. You can
Okay.
You can do it from your seat if you want.
Okay, cool.
You just what you say? Press that down right
Okay.
there. That's your shutter.
All right.
Halfway down, will open it for you.
Okay.
Then to focus on it, you just press it down, and you're in focus. When you're halfway down like that, you make the picture to pushing it all the way
Okay.
down. And then if you want to zoom in, this is the zoomer. You
Okay.
pull
All
it
right.
like that.
Okay.
So make a few still
Okay.
shots.
Cool. All right. Will do.
I'll try not to make it look too young, Joe Dan.
Okay.
That's getting increasingly different too. Anyway. I will add to Conrad's announcements by saying that tomorrow night is music night at Tenney Chapel.
Ah,
It's the third Saturday night.
yes it is.
June 17, and the program is free. This is our 5th year. We're getting close to starting our 6th year of free family musical entertainment. Tenney Chapel is 2 miles south of Brookshire's on 312. You take the left on 4620 and you're there. The program tomorrow night starts with a prayer and a welcome by Pastor Chauncey Neely, Eddie Owen, who sometimes comes here for this meeting. He'll be the sound man. Doc Davis will be on the program, vocals with instrumental accompaniment. Franklin County Troubadours, Ken Eaton and Donna Pitts will do vocals with instrumental accompaniment. Randall Patterson, again, vocals with instrumental accompaniment. Gary McMullen from Greenville, originally from the Cater Hill area, south, out in what used to be called the Big Woods, when the Autumn Trails first started in the late 50s. And he'll be on, and then the closing performer is normally George Jordan, our original Tenney Chapel troubadour, but he's in Nebraska right now, and we prevailed upon Shannon Monk to perform as our closing act for us tomorrow night. Now, I'm going to read 2 brief poems. One is by my good friend, best friend really, when I was in grade school and high school. So up through the 12th grade in school, my best friend by far was Norris Lynn Fanning, who was nicknamed Bartow because his father's name really was Bartow, or Bart, I think, and then for some reason it became Bartow. So people to this day still call Norris Lynn Bartow. And he lives in Lubbock now. He's an engineer, went to Tech, and survived polio right after we graduated from high school. Back in the days when polio was a horrible thing and everybody's worst nightmare. Summer after we graduated from high school, he contracted it while working as a carpenter in this area somewhere, and went through a lot of rehabilitation, and gained most of his functions back, and became a mechanical engineer, successful, the biggest engineering firm in Lubbock to this day. And he wrote this poem on March the 23rd, 2011. And those of you who are familiar with the New Testament know that there's a book in the New Testament that's spelled Philemon. And you either pronounce it, I guess, either Philemon or Philemon. You know. Do we have a preference here tonight?
Nope.
Okay. I had a friend in college whose name was spelled that same way.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody called him Philemon, or Phil for short, you know.
Right.
But I'm sure he was named, I never asked him, but I'm sure that he was named for this character.
Right.
Philemon was character, one of Paul's finds. And my friend Bartow Fanning wrote this poem. It's a one-pager. And the title of it is Philemon's Song. And here it is. I'm a banker from Colossae. I ran savings and loan. Onesimus was my bondslave, working off a note I owned. He got into some trouble and he ran away to Rome. There he found salvation, and St. Paul sent him home. He sent him with a letter. It was addressed to me. Now, it's in the Bible for everyone to see. He gave me 14 reasons to set Onesimus free. This time he owed won't matter in God's eternity. He said, you know, I could be bold. I have authority. But for love's sake, I beg you to set Onesimus free. He is now your little brother, and like a son to me. He met Jesus. He's not the man he used to be. He could stay here with me. I know you would not mind. Like his name, he's useful, and good help is hard to find. I'm here in jail and ailing. I ask him, and I need him worse than you. But he had an obligation. He knows what he has to do. Then came the words that's music to a banker's ear. Paul said, I will pay his debt. That made me shed a tear. Emancipation for Onesimus was the least that I could do. 'Cause this world is not my home. I'm just passing through.
Good.
I always thought that was a really good poem. Now, I've got one here that I wrote 2013, March 15th, 2013. And it's titled 29. Do either one of you remember when you were 29? Are you 29 yet?
Yeah, I'm 31.
Okay.
He's 31.
So we can
Remember when I
all
was
He
remember.
remembers it
Uh-huh.
better than we do, Joe Dan.
Huh?
He can remember his 29th birthday better than we can.
All right, this is called 29.
All right.
Mathematicians dub it the 10th prime number, and also the 4th primordial prime. A Lucas prime, a Pell prime, a Tetranacci number, and most amazing, a supersingular prime. Theologians refer to 29 principles of the Bishnoi, observed by Bishnoi these 5 centuries and more. Bish in Hindu means 20 and Noi means 9. Thus, Bishnoi translates to 29ers at its core. Scientists calculate 29 the atomic number of copper. Astronomers count a lunar month close to 29 days, the number of years Saturn takes to orbit the sun, the number of February days that a leap year pays. Linguists say 29 is the number of alphabet letters in Turkish, Finnish, Swedish, Farosh, Danish, Norwegian, while lovers of literature note 29 as the number of knuts to a sickle of currency in Harry Potter region. 29 is the interstate between Missouri and North Dakota, and 29 palms is the number of a famous California town. It's the track from which the Chattanooga choo-choo train departs in the Glenn Miller song of big band renown. The 29 is often used in New Zealand for the missing miners and contractors believed to have been killed in the Pike River mine disaster in November 2010, which brings me to my granddaughter, Sunny Pryor, highly skilled and currently this Ides of March, studying diligently there at Victoria University of Wellington, New Zealand, on a Fulbright Fellowship toward a Master's in Social Policy, existing as a vegetarian vermercillitan. Today is Sunny's birthday, and today she turns 29. That final year of the roaring 20s, younger than I by a half-century, but having brightened my life more than the sun itself. Love you forever, I say, and on this you can forever rely.
Good.
Thank you. How to Read a Poem and Fall in Love with Poetry by Edward Hirsch. Closing with our traditional paragraph from this book. We're still in the poem translated by Robert Bly, and I'm going, so you'll be hearing a poem again. You know, you have to kind of remember a month ago what was said and a month before that. We're now into the, what is this? Several verses into it here. I'm not sure. I understand only a little. I can hardly see. But it seems to me that its singing has the color of damp violets, of violets that are at home in the earth, because the faith of deaths is green. The face of death is green. And the look of death gives is green, with the penetrating dampness of a violet leaf and the somber color of embittered winter. Interesting wording there. We only got 2 more verses in this.
No, so by the end of the summer, we'll be finished with the poem. That's
Read
great.
the whole poem.
That's it.
Good.
Well,
I like
we
that.
agreed on, thank you, we agreed on doing a paragraph at a time.
That's
So-
it.
But that's so that it would last at least through the lifetime of our youngest member.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
There you go. Here's your camera.
Yep.
Thank you.
And
Got you
here's
some
this-
reading each one.
Pardon me?
When you read each one,
Yeah.
or
You got
each
it.
poem,
You
I
got
got you reading each one and the book too.
Okay, great.
So-
Thank you.
Well,
Here's this camera. You may shut
Thank
it
you.
off if you like.